Hey guys, Will from Boosted Media here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to get your MOZA wheelbase and pedals up and running in Forza Horizon 5 and some recommended settings to get the best game experience. So we're going to start off in the MOZA Pit House software. We're going to go to the right hand side here and we're going to scroll down until we find Forza Horizon 5. Now, a lot of games with the MOZA Pit House software allow you to just click on the config button and all the configuration happens automatically. In the case of Forza Horizon 5, there are a couple of steps that you need to take just to get this up and running. Don't be overwhelmed, it's not difficult, but there are just a couple of things that you're gonna need to do. So we're gonna click on config, and we're going to click on force feedback documentation. We're going to open that, and that's going to open this big window here with all these instructions that you need to follow through. Now, we only really need to pay attention to the first steps here down to where it says the second way. So what we're going to be doing is modifying a couple of zip files to insert basically a profile for MOZA wheelbases. So the first thing you're going to want to do is scroll all the way down to the bottom of this page until you find a little download. Just here, we're going to download that file, let that download in the background, and then we're going to navigate to our Forza Horizon 5 installation directory. So we're going to go Windows key and E to open up our Explorer. We're going to go to, and this will vary depending on where you have it installed, of course, but in my case, it is under Program Files, Steam, Steam Apps, and then Common, and then Forza Horizon 5. And then inside here, we're gonna go to the folder called Media. And then inside this folder, we're gonna be looking for wheel tunable settings.zip. We're gonna right click on that guy and go extract all and extract. That's gonna extract that entire zip folder into a folder inside this media directory. And then we're gonna do the same thing here with the input mapping profiles.zip. So again, just right click, extract all and extract, and that's gonna create a new folder with all of those files inside. So what you want to do now is just back up those two original zip files. So I'm just going to drag them out to my desktop quickly, and that is going to create a backup. I've already done this before, so that's why it's asking me if I want to overwrite. So now what we have is a directory instead of a zip file for each of those configuration settings. So now we're going to go to our downloads folder in a separate Explorer window. We're going to find the Forza Horizon 5 MOZA zip. We're going to open that package up, and I'll just readjust these again so you can see exactly what's going on here. And then we're going to find the profile for our particular wheelbase. So in this case, we're running a R9 with CRP pedals. You can see they've got profiles for pretty much everything here bar the R21 and the new R12. So we're going to go with R9 and CRP pedals. And you can see inside here, we've got a controller FFB file and a default raw game controller mapping profile MOZA R9 XML. So we're going to drag this default raw game controller mapping profile file into the input mapping profiles folder. So we'll do that first. So find that input mapping profiles folder, and we're just going to drag that file into the folder. And you can see it because I've done this previously, it's asking me to overwrite it, but you guys won't get that prompt. And then we're going to find the wheel settings folder that we created just before. So wheel settings tunable. And we're going to drag this INI file into this folder. And again, you won't get that replace prompt. And then the last step we need to do here is to just re-archive these two files. So we're just going to right click on each one and go compress to zip file, and you can see it's created a new zip file with exactly the same name. We're going to go back up and we're going to do exactly the same thing with the wheel tunable folder. So compress to zip file, and you can see now we have new zip files for both of those. Now, if you want to, you can actually delete those folders that you created too, because the game isn't actually going to look at those. I'm just going to leave them there for now in case I want to import any other profiles and then re-zip them again. So that is all you need to do to get things up and running and working. And the other advantage there as well is that automatically brings in the MOZA recommended settings for the game force feedback. I will show you those anyway, but that'll get their default mapping for the wheel, the pedals, and everything, as well as the force feedback settings all up and running for you. So in terms of the Pit House software settings, pretty straightforward here. This is all just what they actually recommend in their own documentation. I did play around with this a little bit, but honestly, I couldn't find anything that felt any better than what they were recommending. So we'll just quickly run you through it here. Game force feedback intensity set to 50%, our maximum steering angle set to 540 degrees, and then under basic settings, 540 degrees, again with a synchronous setting. Road sensitivity set to 10, game force feedback intensity set to 50%, maximum wheel speed set to 10%, wheel spring strength at 0. There is a centering spring mechanism already built into the game setting, so that doesn't need to take effect inside the software here. Wheel damper set to 65%. Maximum output torque limit set to 100%. If you've got small children that are driving on your rig, I would recommend winding this down, particularly if you've got a more powerful wheelbase, just to keep things safe. What that'll do is it'll limit the maximum amount of output of the wheelbase without turning down the gain on those weaker effects. So I would recommend doing that rather than turning down the game force feedback intensity any further. Turning this down is actually going to just crank down everything rather than just limiting the maximum output, if that makes sense. Steering wheel inertia, you're just going to set this to be matching with whatever steering wheel you're using. Natural inertia set to 250%, wheel friction at 45%, speed dependent dampening at 0, and the start point at 0 as well. And then under force feedback equalizer, we're going to have 100% at 10 hertz, 150% at 15 hertz, and then 200% at 25, 40, 50, and 100 hertz. And then under base curve, I just like to leave that set to linear. What you can do here is crank up some of those weaker signals if you want to bring up a little bit more road texture detail, but I find that the default settings that they have inside the game with the profile that we just loaded are absolutely fine. So that is all the pit house settings. We can minimize that now, and let's open up the game and give you a quick look inside there too. So inside the game settings menu, we're going to go down to controls and just map whatever controls we want under the wheel property. Now you can see here, this is pre-populated with their recommended controls, but you can make any changes that you want to in here. Then we're gonna back out and go down to advanced controls. And again, this all should be populated by default, but just to give you a look at the recommended settings here, we can see steering axis dead zone inside is 0, steering axis dead zone outside 100, steering linearity set to 50. This is a little bit misleading, but if you look at the tooltip over here, it says that 50 is a linear mapping. If you set this to be non-linear, then it becomes more sensitive towards the center and less sensitive as you get out, but that doesn't really work well for me, and I don't really know why anybody would want to do that. Acceleration axis dead zone set to 0, the outside set to 100, deceleration inside is 0, outside is 100. Clutch axis dead zone inside 15 and outside 90. This is with the MOZA CRP pedals. E-brake, if you have one connected, plus 10 and 100 for outside. Vibration scale 0.5, force feedback scale set to 1, center spring set to 1 also, wheel damper scale set to 0, mechanical trail scale set to 1, force feedback minimum force set to 0.6, force feedback load sensitivity set to 1, road feel scale set to 1, off-road feel scale set to 1, and steering sensitivity set to 0.5. Now again, I did have a play around with these settings, but honestly I was really happy with the default settings that MOZA provided in their pre-cooked profile. So it's as simple as that, guys. Hopefully this gets you up and running and enjoying Forza Horizon 5 with your MOZA wheelbase. Leave a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.